Using fresh herbs in your food is any day better than buying bunches of herbs from the supermarket. In this video, we will show you how to grow herbs at home in small containers. Even if you live in an apartment or you don't have a dedicated garden space, a container on a balcony or a small planter box in a sunny kitchen window are all you need to start your own herb garden. Here are 10 easy to grow herbs to get you started. If you have not yet subscribed to Urban Gardening, then click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to subscribe and receive notifications as I upload new videos. Use high quality seeds as they ensure strong germination and rapid growth of the plants. Choose a pot at least 7 to 8 inches wide and deep and with drainage holes at the bottom. To encourage wholesome growth, make sure the soil is loose and fertile. For that, use a mix of 40% garden soil, 30% Cocopeat and 30% vermicompost or leaf mold. Make sure to moisten your soil mix so that it's ready to be good medium for the seeds. Oregano seeds are dust-like, so handle them with care. Sprinkle seeds evenly over the soil surface. They need light to germinate, so lightly cover the seeds with the soil mix. Press the soil with your hand and water with a gentle shower. Oregano seeds usually germinate within 8 to 12 days. Once the seedlings are growing, continue to keep the soil moist. Too much water will result in root rot and can lead to fungal diseases. Make sure the soil drains well and dries out between waterings. To avoid diseases caused by dampness, always water plants at their bases as opposed to their tops. Once your oregano plants are established, you will notice they like to spread and spread fairly quickly. Plants can be harvested anytime once they have reached 5 to 6 inches tall. The best way to harvest oregano is to pinch off tips as they grow. This will prevent it from blooming and going to seed. It will also encourage bushier growth. Oregano leaves can be dried or frozen. Store dried leaves or whole stalks in airtight containers away from bright light. Choosing the best seeds is the first step towards the rewarding gardening experience. Take a small pot with drainage hole at the bottom. Thyme likes dry, sandy soil with good drainage. For that, use a mix of 50% garden soil, 30% vermicompost and 20% sand. Moisten the soil mix before you sow your seeds. Thyme seeds are quite small. Handle them carefully to avoid them blowing away or being washed away. Scatter seeds on top of the soil and do not cover them as they need light to germinate. Press lightly into the surface so that the seeds make good contact with the soil. Using a spray bottle to mist the surface can help maintain the right moisture level without disturbing the seeds. Keep them moist while they germinate, which should take 5 to 8 days. Avoid watering the leaves of plants to avoid fungal diseases. At this stage, ensure they receive adequate light and moisture as they continue to grow. Position your thyme plants in a spot where they can get at least 5 to 7 hours of full sun daily. This is essential for the production of the aromatic oils that give thyme its distinctive flavor. Thyme should be ready to harvest in approximately 70 to 90 days. Harvest by pinching off the outer stems and leaves, leaving some on the plant for future growth. Thyme will bloom tiny blossoms of pink, lavender, or white throughout the spring and summer seasons, which will attract bees to the garden. Lemongrass can be grown from seed, but the easiest way is from a fresh lemongrass stalk that you can buy from most supermarket, Asian stores and grocers. Make sure that the base of each stalk is still intact and not rotten or moldy. Also avoid any that are dried out. Now for planting, take a medium pot around 12 inches wide and 15 inches deep with some drainage holes at the bottom. Well-drained sandy loam soil is most suitable for the growth of lemongrass plants. For that, mix 50% garden soil, 30% cattle manure and 20% river sand. Cut off the upper leaves for cooking, leaving behind roughly 3 to 4 inches of the stalk. Make 2 to 3 inch deep hole in the soil mix and put the bottom part of the stalk into it. Fill around the stalk to anchor it into its new position. Press the soil or gently tap the pot to remove air pocket. Water thoroughly after planting. This will help the plants settle into new location. After 7 to 8 days, you will notice new leafy growth. Lemongrass requires a warm sunny location to thrive, so place your lemongrass in a well-lit location outdoors with 5 to 7 hours of sun per day. Lemongrass needs a lot of moisture, so ensure the soil doesn't dry out. Once plants are well established, feed with cattle manure or vermicompost. Repeat after every 18 to 20 days for healthy growth. Mix well in the soil and immediately water the soil so the fertilizer soaks in and gets absorbed by the roots. To harvest, cut 4 to 6 inch of the top growth, but make sure you leave plenty on the plant to allow it to produce new growth. Lemongrass is a tropical herb packed with a strong citrus flavor. The lemon taste is prized in Asian cooking as well as in teas, sauces and soups. Celery seeds are very tiny and can be tricky to plant. Take seed starting mix or make your own mix by combining 40% garden soil, 30% Cocopeat and 30% vermicompost. Moisten your soil mix before using. Sow celery seeds by sprinkling them onto the surface of your soil mix. Cover the seeds lightly with the soil mix. If you cover them with too much soil, they will have trouble coming up. Water with a gentle shower and avoid dislodging the seeds. Seeds should germinate in around 8 to 10 days. Celery doesn't like it too hot or too cold, so grow in the milder seasons of spring or autumn. Once the seedlings are 4 to 6 inches tall, you can plant them in big pots. Grasp the plant at the base and gently wiggle it out of the pot with the help of a small trowel. Celery prefers well-drained soil that is fertile and high in organic matter. For that, use a mix of 50% garden soil, 30% cattle manure and 20% river sand. Make a hole in the soil about the same size as the seedling's root ball. Place the root ball in the hole and backfill with soil. The soil surface should remain in line with the original seedling base. In a 12-inch wide pot, we can easily grow 3 celery plants. Make sure to plant them 4 to 6 inches apart. Thoroughly water in celery seedlings and keep consistently moist. Celery plants need 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight for healthy growth. Soil health is very important for celery as it is a heavy feeding crop. Add 3 to 4 handfuls of cattle manure after every 15 days for healthy growth. This will encourage prolific growth and help maintain a longer harvest window for your celery. A growing celery plant needs a lot of water. Make sure to keep the soil evenly moist and don't forget to water them. There is no need to harvest the whole celery plant at once. Individual celery stalks can begin to be removed once they are the thickness of a pencil. Harvest as many stalks as you need from the outside of the plant with a down and out pulling motion to click off what you need from the main plant. While the stalk is most coveted amongst chefs, the aromatic leaves and even starchy roots are also edible. Chives are fairly easy to grow from seed. Choose a medium pot around 7 to 8 inches wide and deep with some drainage holes at the bottom. Grow your chives in well draining soil. For that, mix 50% garden soil, 30% cattle manure, and 20% river sand. Make sure to moisten your soil mix so that it's ready to be good medium for the seeds. Sand helps with drainage and cattle manure adds a little nutritional boost. Scatter seeds evenly over the surface, then smooth the soil over lightly to cover the seeds. Press lightly into the surface after sowing so that seeds make good contact with the soil. Now water gently so that you don't displace these tiny seeds. Chive seeds can take 7 to 8 days to germinate and you need to keep your soil moist during this time. Chives will grow in partial shade though they prefer full sun. If your area experiences hot summers, see if you can give your chives some afternoon shade. Once chives plants are established, they barely require any care at all. Chives should be ready to harvest in approximately 60 to 90 days. Use a clean scissor to cut the plants. New growth will spring from the center of the plant, not the tips again. That's why a good cutting bag can keep your plants healthy through the growing season. Chives are at their most flavorful when they are freshly harvested, so take only as much as you need at a time. Toss chopped stems into salads or onto soups, stews, omelets, baked potatoes, really anything savory that needs just a tad more flavor. Take a medium pot with proper drainage holes at the bottom. Rocket likes fertile soil that retains some moisture. For that, use 60% garden soil and 40% cattle manure. Moistening the soil before sowing seeds provides the necessary moisture for germination. Rocket seeds can be sown year-round in most climates, although cooler temperatures are said to produce the best crops. Sprinkle seeds evenly over the soil surface. Once you have done this, simply cover it over with soil, then firm gently and water well. Keep the pot in full sun and make sure soil remains moist but never wet or dry. Rocket doesn't take that long to germinate, so you will see the results quite quickly. Rocket needs to be kept well watered, especially in hot and dry conditions, otherwise it can prematurely bolt. You can plant seeds too densely, but don't forget to thin the plants once they get overcrowded and use the thinnings in salads. When you remove excess plants, you create better growing conditions for the remaining ones. They call it rocket for a reason. This leafy herb is fast growing. You can harvest in as little as 5 to 6 weeks and is perfect for adding a spicy, peppery bite to your dishes. After every 12 to 15 days, feed plants with a liquid fertilizer suitable for herbs and vegetables. A liquid fertilizer will provide fast-acting nutrients to support their speedy growth. Start picking when leaves are about 2 to 4 inches big. The younger leaves are milder, more tender and delicately flavored and should be picked regularly to keep plants producing more. You will be pleased to know that it is a cut and come again plant. This means that you should get around 3 to 4 harvests from the same plants. Take some fresh store-bought mint bundles. The main thing is that you use a mint cutting that's healthy. The stem should be vibrant and green. while the leaves shouldn't be dried or blackened. Take 6 to 8 cuttings that are 5 to 7 inches long so that there is plenty of area on the stem for roots to grow. Clear bottom leaves from the lower part of the stem. Make sure to clear 2 to 3 nodes as roots will grow from the node area. Take a 2-liter soda bottle, cut into halves with the help of a scissor. Fill the container with tap water, add water as needed to keep the container 60 to 70% full. Place the cuttings into the container so the bottom 2 to 3 nodes are submerged in water. Place the container where cuttings are exposed to bright indirect light. Bright indirect light as opposed to direct sunlight will ensure that the main cuttings do not get burnt or dry out. In around 10 to 12 days, you will notice green growth and root development. Make sure to change water after every 5 days so the stems stays healthy and fresh. After plants are established, harvest leaves regularly by pinching out the tops. New leaves are more flavorful and tender than the older ones, and pinching promotes bushy growth. Dill can be grown in medium to large pots with good drainage that are at least 8 to 10 inch wide and deep. Dill plants need a well-drained soil enriched with plenty of organic matter. Prepare soil by mixing 50% garden soil, 30% cattle manure and 20% sand. Moistening the soil before sowing seeds provides the necessary moisture for germination. Scatter seeds evenly over the surface, then smooth the soil over lightly to cover the seeds. Because dill doesn't do well with transplanting, it's best to direct sow the seeds at their final location. Keep them moist while they germinate, which should take 8 to 12 days. Proper watering is essential for growing dill. Keep the soil evenly moist for constant growth. When seedlings are 4 to 5 inches tall, reduce their numbers to just the strongest seedlings every 5 to 6 inches. Use thin out dill seedlings as microgreens. Dill does not normally need feeding, but an occasional liquid feed can give the plants a boost. Dill prefers full sun. Keep dill in a location with at least 5 to 7 hours of sun a day. Dill reaches full maturity in about 40 to 50 days depending on the variety. To harvest, snip off outer leaves from young plants on a cut and come again basis. Always keep at least 1/3 of the plant in place to continue growing. The leaves are traditionally used to flavor chicken, fish and egg dishes and of course dill pickles, and it can be chopped into soups and salads. Dill seeds can be harvested in late summer when they start to ripen and turn brown. Dill seeds have a stronger flavor than the leaves and can be used whole or ground, cooked in soups and vegetable dishes or baked in breads and biscuits. Stevia grows well in containers. Choose a pot 8 to 10 inches deep and wide. Stevia grows best in soil rich in organic matter. For that, use a mix of 60% garden soil and 40% vermicompost. Moisten your soil mix before using. Take a small pinch and scatter them thinly over the soil mix. Now cover the seeds with a fine layer of soil mix and tamp down lightly. Immediately after planting, water the area gently to help the soil settle. Seeds germinate in 14 to 18 days when kept moist and warm. Stevia grows best in full sun, but it's best to place the pot in an area that receives some afternoon shade. In the wild, stevia plants often grow near bodies of water like ponds and lakes, so be sure to keep the soil consistently moist for best results. Replant stevia each year to ensure a good harvest. Although the plant is a perennial, its vigorous growth decreases after the first year. You can replant with cuttings from the stevia plant. Individual leaves can be harvested or entire branches of the stevia plant can be picked at once, but never remove more than 1/3 of the plant at a time. Harvest in the morning when the plant's sugar content is highest. The stevia leaves are usually at their sweetest just before the plant blossoms. This is usually at the end of summer season. Fresh stevia leaves are delicious in teas, smoothies, or as a sweet snack. Always use fresh seeds to get good germination. To start your seeds, choose a small pot with drainage holes at the bottom. Use seed starting mix or make your own mix by combining 50% garden soil, 30% vermicompost and 20% Cocopeat. It is generally recommended to moisten the soil before planting seeds. Scatter seeds across the pot by hand. Cover the seeds with a sprinkling of dry soil mix. You don't need to add a thick layer, just enough to cover the seeds. Press lightly with your hand and water with a gentle shower. Thai basil seeds should emerge within 10 days and will first have 2 cotyledons before growing true leaves. Be patient and continue to keep the soil mix moist for good growth. Thai basil plants grow best in a spot that gets at least 6 hours of direct sun per day. Once the basil plants are 4 to 6 inches tall and have at least 3 to 4 true leaves, they are ready for transplanting. Thai basil grows well in containers. Put a single plant in a 12-inch wide and deep pot with drainage holes. Plant Thai basil in rich, well-drained soil that holds moisture well. For that, use a mix of 50% garden soil, 30% compost and 20% river sand. Make a hole and lower the seedling into it. Fill in around the sides with soil, gently tamp down and water well. Once a young Thai basil plant has 6 to 8 sets of leaves, pinch off the top set of leaves to encourage branching and fuller growth. Thai basil plants grown in pots require regular fertilizing. Meeting the high nitrogen demands of Thai basil will ensure your plant grows large, lush green leaves. Mix well and water immediately after fertilizing to help the nutrients penetrate the soil and reach the roots. Harvest Thai basil by picking the upper leaves from each branch, which will encourage growth. Frequent harvesting as often as every other day will encourage more vigorous growth.